interview with Mr. James Calascione on 27 February 2001 at the Freeport, Long Island Armory. Interviewer is Lieutenant Colonel Robert von Hassel, and videographer is Mr. Michael Akey. You mind if I call you Jim?
Pardon?
Can I call you Jim?
Yes, yes.
Jim, tell me, where and when were you born?
Where was I born?
Yeah.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York,
And when?
back in 1916, December the 6th, 1916.
And what was it like growing up in Brooklyn back then? Where in Brooklyn were you living?
South Brooklyn.
South Brooklyn.
And they used to call that neighborhood Red Hook.
Right.
Now they call it Cobble Hill. They changed the name of it. But it was mostly Italian and Irish. The Irish were a few blocks up from us, but more or less, you know, just intermingle. A lot of brotherliness. Very, very close people. Very close. And I grew up. I went through PS 29 on Henry Street in Kane. And when I got out of there, I went to the Brooklyn Technical High School. And I went in for electrical engineering. I was there 2 terms, and we had 5 different annexes other than the main building. And we had to change periods and go from one building to the other. And about this time of the year, it was very cold. And we weren't allowed to carry our overcoats with us. We had to keep them locked up in the locker. But I used to wear a sweater, probably 2 sweaters, so that I'd make my trip 3, 4, 5 blocks away to the other annex. But I caught a dose of rheumatic fevers from it. I woke up one morning and I was stiff in bed. I couldn't get out of bed, all stiff. And I was in bed for 9 weeks. After 9 weeks, I started to move around a little bit, but I couldn't walk. And I had a friend of mine used to come over every day, pick me up, take me out, and put me in the sun so I could sun myself. He's dead now. He was a little overweight. At the age of 12, he was 291 pounds. But he was a model of a boy. Well, I continued with my education, and I got to the point where I couldn't hack it anymore. 7th term, I got out. And I started to look for work in the electrical business. I wasn't too lucky. In those days, in 1929, 28, 29, it was bad, very, very bad. The stock crash came and everything dropped out. And I kept getting little odd jobs here. Electrical work, I couldn't get electrical work, no way, no how. In those days, the electrical union would only take on a member if his father was in the union. It was a father and son deal. That's the only thing I hold against Local 3, the electrical union. So I started working my way up, and a friend of mine says to me, I really wasn't too interested in it, so why don't you try for the police force? It's an idea. So I tried. I went to Delahanty, went through the course there, took the exam, got a pretty high mark, but it wasn't good enough. In the meantime, Europe starts rumbling, and I had been working in a department store, Frederick Loges in Brooklyn, on Fulton Street, Brooklyn.
Mhm.
I was in protection there. And they asked me if I would do any undercover work for them. I said, well, if it pays, I'll take a crack at it. So they took me up into the personnel office, and there was the personnel manager there, and a man from the protection department. And he interviewed me, and he said, look, this is no baby job. This is a tough job. He said, we're losing over $3,000 a month in one department alone. Stolen dresses. We want to get these guys, and we want to hang them. Do you think you could do it? I said, I think so. He says, what are you good at? I said, I'm good at painting. Very good. Very good. That's just what I want. He says, somebody that could work at night. I said, okay. I said, I'll take it. I said, I'll come to the bottom of it. So I did. I worked at it for 8 weeks. 6 of them went to jail. And the next thing I knew, I got a call from the draft. And I was Navy-minded. I wouldn't make a good soldier. I wanted, if I was going to die, I was going to die clean. And I talked to my father and my mother. I said, look, I said, I'm going to go into the service. I'm going to pick what I want. So my father said, well, why not? I said, well, maybe you don't like the idea that I go back in the Navy, like Uncle Frankie. I had an uncle, had been in about 22 years so far. So he says, no, he says, look, he says, you do what you want. You want the Navy? Go. So I went down to the recruiting station to enlist, and it was a cheap boatswain's mate. What can I do for you? I said, I want to enlist. How come? I said, I just got this card from Selective Service. I says, I don't want to go in the Army. I want to go in the Navy. Oh, that's good. It's all right. He says, come on, sit down here. Let's talk this thing over. Then he starts, name, age. Then he asked me a question. He says, do you have anybody in your family that is in the Navy? I said, yes, I have an uncle in the Navy right now. He's been in the Navy over 22 years, I think. He said, oh. He said, what's his name? His name is Frankie Majorana. That son of a bee! He says, what do you mean? He says, we used to play baseball together on a West Coast in San Diego. I says, well, he's not in San Diego now. He says, where is he? I says, he's in Chifu, China. He's been there for 10 years. What is he doing there? I says, well, he's a chief optical machinist. I says, he takes care of gun sights. Son of a gun, he always went for the easy jobs. He says, good, good. He says, look, I'm going to give you a tip. He says, by the way, he says, you're in the Navy. He says, you're not going in the Army. He says, I'm going to give you a tip. He says, if they offer you any school when you get up to Newport, Rhode Island, he says, take it. At any time in the Navy that they offer you schooling, take it. Because it's to your advantage. I said, okay, I'll take it. So I went to Newport, Rhode Island, and I was up there. I went up there on October 23rd, and I was supposed to leave there on December the 13th. But Pearl Harbor came, and I was company commander up there in Newport, Rhode Island. And on a Sunday afternoon, I got a call to go down to the OD's office. I went down to the OD's office. He says, I'm going to give you a belt and a stick. I'm sending you in to pull anybody back that's in Providence. They got to come back to the ship. He says, just in case you don't know it, we're at war. He says, Pearl Harbor was just attacked this morning. I said, oh my God. I says, are we going to get leave next week? He says, don't count on it. He says, you better make hay while you're here. He says, because I don't know where you're going to be going. He says, but anyway, he says, go out with this crew here. There's your nightstick and your belt. So we went down, I had my leggings on. We went down, there was 4 busloads that we brought back that night. And the guys were all hollering and screaming, this is my liberty, what are you guys telling me? I said, look, don't worry about it, you're gonna be all right, just get on a bus and go. A lot of them were 3 sheets to the wind already. And the next week, I got transferred to St. Louis, Missouri. I spent 3 months there in electrical school, and I used to fall asleep in the class. It was all old stuff to me. At the back of the class, I'd fall asleep. And this one teacher wanted to put me on report. I had a chief of the company there. He was a chief water tender in the Navy. He had put in 32 years. And he spoke to the man teacher. He says, what's the idea? What are you putting him on report? He says, he sleeps in the class. So let me talk to him. So talk to me. He says, Jim, what's the matter? What are you sleeping in the class for? I said, Mr. Benson, I said, this is all old stuff to me. I says, this is all kid stuff. What do you mean it's kid stuff? I said, I was through Brooklyn Tech. I says, I got a good electrical education. What? He said, what are you doing here? I says, where I was assigned to come to electrical school, so I took it. He said, I got an idea. He said, a couple of guys in your class that are not doing too good. He says, would you want to tutor them? I says, anytime, sure, why not? So he gave me 8 fellas. I didn't go on report. He gave me 8 boys that were falling behind in their math. And I took them over. Out of the 8, 7 made it. The other one couldn't make it. He just didn't have it. So from there, they sent me to gyro school, 15 minutes away from my home in Brooklyn, at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. I was supposed to be there for 13 weeks, but after 9 weeks, I said, no way. I said, oh boy, no way, I'm going to get out a little sooner here. Okay. So, from there, they sent me down to Portsmouth, Virginia. I went there, and I'm waiting for my ship, the Charles Carroll. It wasn't coming. What am I going to do now? I kept asking and asking, and then finally they came to me and he says, Carroll is in. It's in Portsmouth. You go out tomorrow. Okay, good. So I went aboard. As soon as I got aboard, the guy looked at me. He says, Sparky, he's the captain wants to see you. The captain don't even know me. He says, you're a 3rd class electrician? I said, yes. He says, you're the guy he wants to see. I says, okay. I says, let's go. He says, where's the captain? He says, I'll take you there. Took me up to the captain's office. his stateroom, really. Right away, I got in, I saluted him. Come over here, I gotta talk to you. He says, calm down. He says, this is something man to man. He says, I want to have a little confab with you. He said, you just come out of gyro school, didn't you? I said, yes, sir. He said, you had pretty good marks there too, didn't you? Yes, sir. Okay. He said, I got a key for you to the gyro room. He says, this key is yours. You don't give this key to nobody. Absolutely nobody. You are the only one that will ever be allowed in that room. I said, it's all right with me. I said, I wouldn't let anybody else touch my gyro. That's what I want to hear. Because, you know, he said, I think you and I are going to get along very, very good together. I said, I get along with everybody, sir. Very, very good, Sparky. He says, here's the key. He says, this key takes this ship all over the world. We're going to do a lot of traveling. That gyro must be tip-top at all times. I says, it will be, sir. Okay. Go on about your business. He says, when I need you, I'll call you. Thank you very, very much, sir. I got up, I saluted him. He saluted me back. He says, welcome aboard. You're one of my boys now. Okay. So I left. And that was Captain Biesmeyer. He was on board with me close to close to 2 years, and he was taken off. He sat on the Pearl Harbor investigation board. That's the only reason why they took him off the ship. And the day he left, we all cried. He was a really, really good man. Very, very good captain. And we started with the North African invasion. We went there, came back. We didn't lose any men there. We lost a lot of boats. Out of 36 landing craft on the Charles Carroll, we got about 30 of them back. The rest of them were all broached up on the beach. So we made our way back to the States. When we got back to the States, they started putting radar on the ship. And they wanted help with the electrical circuits. It's okay. I had a nice little electrical shop. I used to take care of all the sound power telephones. And they put an automatic telephone system in. So they needed room to put the Jeeps in. That was the control panels. Oh, they put that in the back of my electrical shop. And we went along. Next thing you know, we're told, well, Charles Carroll is going to leave in a week. Okay, where are we going? I don't know yet. So about 4 or 5 days before, the navigator calls me up, Mr. Kazunas. He says, Sparky, he says, I got to talk to you. He says, you got to make sure that we get all the settings in the gyro before we leave. But what I'm going to tell you is top secret. It's all right with me. I says, I'm Sicilian. I got a deep stomach. whatever comes in doesn't come out. Very good. So he gave me the routing. We were going to go through the Panama Canal. We were going to deliver some troops down in New Zealand. So on the way into the Panama Canal, they had the anti-submarine gates there. They opened the gates for us, and when they opened the gates, one of the bombs that was attached to they had charges attached to the gate. The gates were made out of 2-inch steel cable called crisscross with the shackles holding the netting together. And we were just about getting into the gate, and there was a blast right under the fantail. Wham! We lost 2 men. They were sitting on the fantail. They were mess cooks. They were sitting on the fantail, sunning themselves. And when the bomb went off, they went over the fantail out into the water. And they tried to back the ship down, but they couldn't back it down. But the 2 men were gone. Never found them. And the ship had to be towed through the Panama Canal. It has the distinction of being the first ship ever to be towed through the Panama Canal. They towed us through onto the Pacific side, put us in dry dock. That was where the dry dock was. There was none on the East Coast. And we stayed there for 2 months, waiting for a piece of a shaft, the last section to the shaft going out to the prop, and a new rudder that had to come down from Norfolk, Virginia. So we waited there for it. And while we were there, we were going ashore, and back and forth, back and forth. They took us out of dry dock. They put us over on the side. Finally, the parts came back up to Norfolk, Virginia. Final repairs. Get ready for something else. Okay, we got ready. Little did I know, but we were starting to get ready for the Sicilian invasion. So we picked up 45th Division, and we on our way out. A lot of pictures were taken of the ship, the planes. In fact, I got a picture home. The men all lined up on the ship on our way out to Sicily. And we made the Sicilian invasion. That was a breeze. Sicilian invasion, we walked in, put our troops in. It was one of the easiest invasions we had. So we went back to North Africa, to Marzel Kabir, and we picked up troops there. The troops, I wonder where we're going to go now. Everybody was hollering and screaming, where the hell are we going? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Sparky, you know where we're going to go. I said, I don't know from anything. So I get a call from Kazunas. He told me where we were going to go. Just please don't let it out. Just don't worry about it, Lieutenant. Don't let it out. We were going to Salerno. Salerno was a bad deal. Very bad deal. There was a meeting in the wardroom, a briefing before the landing, and there was a major general on board. And he said, this is going to be a surprise attack. And the Commodore, he was kind of tough. He said, absolutely not. This is not going to be a surprise attack. why not? He said, because last night we picked up some boys that were in there. Well, what about it? Don't send your boys in there unless you shell the beach. Oh, no, this has got to be a surprise attack. It's going to be a surprise attack. It's going to be a surprise on you. He says, those Germans have 88s lined up along the beach and up into the hills. They're going to be pegging shots at those landing craft going in. They're going to knock them right off. And that's what happened. We had a bad time there. We were there for the first day, and we took on wounded. Wounded were coming on like mad. We used to convert her into a hospital ship. And when we were in a transport area like that, the boats wouldn't come back empty. They'd come back with the wounded. And I was floating on the ship. I had access to any part of the ship that anybody could go. Enlisted men were not allowed in an officer's country. I was. Because my gyro was right in the middle of officer's country. And I could go anywhere on the boat. And I'd always get calls. Sparky, I need a hand. Especially out on the outer deck. Sparky, I need a hand. They'd be bringing wounded back. They'd bring the landing craft up to the main deck, level with the main deck, and then with the canvas stretchers, they'd pass them in over the gunwale of the boat, and we'd take it, lay it on the deck, and we'd have to transfer those men that were in the canvas stretchers that were bleeding in the stretchers. The blood was all over the canvas, and you'd put your arms under, pick them up, and lift them up. They'd pull the stretcher out, and they'd put a Phillips stretcher in there, and we'd lay the man down in there. Blood. And what would happen? That blood would cake. You'd stop ripping the clothes off. You get that dry feeling, dry blood. Dry. You feel just, your clothes just pulling. So how's you feeling? I helped many a man. Up to very recently, I dreamt of it. I always dream of it. And a lot of my friends tell me, Jim, look, forget it. That was the war. Forget about it. You don't want to remember things like that. I can't forget it. It's indelibly marked up here in my brain. Do you know how many boys I helped in there? I said, one night during one of the bombing attacks in Salerno, we were getting ready to put these stretchers over the side because the Germans were bombing the hell out of us. Finally, the captain says, we're not staying here. He says, we're getting the hell out of here. He says, cut the anchors away. Well, they cut the anchor. One anchor was cut away. One anchor they were able to get up. The other anchor, don't wait, let's get the hell out of here. And we got the hell out of there. And they put the wounded that had come aboard already, were all in Phillips stretchers. They put them out in the passageway. And they had one boy right next to my gyro room. And I'm standing, during action, I had to stay in the gyro room constantly. In case the ship would get hit, the gyro would start rocking, and I'd have to tend to it right away. And I had my door to the gyro room open, and right in the passageway there was a young lad there. And all I could hear him say was, "Ma." And he'd take a breath, and it'd be a whistle. Ma. Oh, God. I was looking down at him, laying on the deck. He looked up at me. Ma. Oh. Then I realized what was happening. When he was going, "Ma," and he was taking a breath, his lungs were filling up with air. It was leaking out the back. He had a little hole in the top of his lung up here, but it came out and it ripped a couple of his ribs off and knocked a couple of his vertebrae out of line. He had a hole in his back about that big. They couldn't do nothing for him. All they did, they padded him up with absorbent cotton, bandaged him up, so just wait for him to die. I found that out later. One of the pharmacist mates told me about it. His name was Rodriguez. He came from the Bronx. He died the day after. When I was there with him, I knelt by him. I held his hand. He felt that I held his hand. I felt his hand tightening. Tight, very tight. I knew he was still alive. Those things you can't forget. You don't forget. I thank God that I was able to help some of those boys. Whenever there was an operation going on in the sick bay, not only the sick bay, the staterooms used to be turned into operating rooms. Doctors all over operating, taking arms off. One day I'm called into a stateroom in Salerno there. They were amputating a boy's arm, his right arm. And I happened to be passing by. "Sparky, get in here. Give us a hand. Come on, hurry up." I wondered, what's the matter? "Hold this man down." They had him on the operating table. They were going to take his arm off, but the ether ran out. And they had to send one of the pharmacist mates down to get more ether down in the storeroom. And this guy started going wild on the table. You got to hold him down. He's going to hurt himself more than what he is. So I got to cross his legs, holding his legs down so that he wouldn't kick. Finally, the man came up. He gave him more ether. Put him out. He says, "All right, Sparky, come on." "Okay, stand by here. Don't leave. In case anything else happens, please stand by with us." "Okay, I'll stand by with you." So they took the arm off. The pharmacist mate is holding the arm as the doctor is cutting it off. He turns around, he hands it to me. Like a jerk, I grab it. The doctor says, "Put that over there and come back here, Sparky." So I put it over on one of the bunks. This was in a stateroom. Put it on one of the bunks, and I came back. He says, "He's starting to move again." He says, "Hold his legs down." Okay. I held his legs down. And then he started to calm down a little bit. So they gave him more ether. They had him out completely. "All right, Sparky, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Sparky." That was Salerno. From there, we went to Normandy. Normandy or Omaha Beach, Blue Beach.
Normandy was a horror for me. I wasn't allowed off the ship, but I had to go down with some batteries. I didn't have any more men on board. I was chief at the time, chief electrician's mate. And I had made chief in 3 years from apprentice seaman. I had to go in with a couple of batteries, 90 amp hour batteries, 225 volt amperes, oh God. The boats are on the beach, but the batteries are dead. Okay, so I grab 6 batteries and I go in with one of the boats. I left one of my boys ready. We were at anchor. I figured the ship isn't going to go anywhere. I'll be back. I got permission from the captain to go. He said, yes, go. So I went. On the way back, I took care of 3 boats. There were 2 batteries in each boat. The men got them off. On the way back, I'm looking out into the water, and I see this hand come up out of the water. And I told the coxswain, hey, hold it, coxswain. What's the matter? What's the matter, Chief? There's this wounded man here. We just passed him. Get around there. Come on, let's get him. Are you sure? I says, look, I'm sure. I know what I'm talking about. I saw the man waving his hand. He's got a life jacket on and all, but he's waving his hand. He's alive. So, bring the boat around. Sure enough, we picked him up. We brought him back to the ship. He was pretty well shot up. The machine gun right through the midsection. And he was bleeding in the water. We got him into the boat. But he died the day after.
Hold on there for a second. We're going to have to change. 27 February 2001. Go ahead, Jim.
There we went to southern France. Southern France was a little bit of a horror. We were on our way into southern France. There's the USS Richelieu, the biggest battleship that France had, was coming off the beach. And it was intercepted by the destroyers. It was taken. And Germans did a rotten job there. They massacred the people there. There was a barn right at the edge of the beach, and they had captured a lady that was involved with the underground. They killed her, and they hung her up on this barn door with her hands outstretched and her legs outstretched, but she was cut from private all the way up to her neck. All her guts were all hanging out. And from the ship with our glasses, we could see it. It was a horrible sight, seeing that woman with her guts hanging out. I can't forget these things. But thank God we got through it all right. From there we came back to the States. We go into the yard. We were supposed to be there for 60 days. 28 days, and You're on your way, boys. You gotta leave right away. Within 3 days, you're gonna be out of here. Okay. Within 3 days, we'll be out of here. Set the gyro and all. We went through the Panama Canal. This time we got through all right. No bombs blasting. And we went to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii. From Hawaii we went to a little island just away from the Solomon Islands, and we picked up some Marines there. Picked up the Marines. We went hopping, and we picked up more Marines on other islands. Start picking them up. Next thing you know, we're on our way to Okinawa. We made the Okinawa invasion. And we had what they called the 5th Marines. That was a bad invasion. Bad in the sense that the Japs would come in, these kamikazes. We lost a few ships there. Thank God, Carroll made it all right. And we came back to the States, to San Francisco. And on our way back, we picked up a man on a little island there, Iyashima. And he was on board with us. He had gone in to Okinawa. We brought him in there. His name was Ernie Pyle. And when we left, he said, "Sorry, I'm not going back with you fellas." He used to spend a lot of time with the enlisted men. There's chief's quarters. And he was always writing, "Let me have your name and address. Get in touch with your parents, your family." And we're 2 or 3 days out of Okinawa, and we find out that he was sniped, was killed. That caused a heartache on board because he was so close to us. He was close to everybody on that ship. He was always with the men. What a wonderful man he was. Wonderful man. So we came back to the States. We picked up troops. They were all PWs. They had turned bad under fire. And we had to take them to the Philippine Islands. We went to Samoa, dropped them off. And on that trip, all the chiefs were given 45s to keep in their lockers at night. Lock them up. Make sure that none of those guys would get a gun. So I had mine.
I used to keep mine in the bunk above me. In this, between the spring and the mattress. I had a 45. We had to be careful. The PWs. And they had 30 caliber machine guns all around the upper deck in case they would act up on us. And those guns were manned 24 hours a day.
And were these Japanese prisoners of war, or were these American military prisoners?
American military prisoners. They were all American servicemen that had turned back under action, didn't make it. And they wanted to take me back out again. It was the month of October of 1945. And I had gotten a letter from home that my father wasn't doing too well. He was starting with heart condition. And when we got back to Seattle, Washington, I said, I'm going to leave the ship. So I went. Captain says, "Oh, you can't leave the ship." What do you mean I can't leave the ship? I said, I got 48 points here. They're letting them out in less than 40. Oh, you have the points, but I can't let you go. I don't have a gyro man. That's tough. Get one. No, you gotta get one. I gotta get one. Yeah, you gotta get your own relief. Where am I gonna get a relief? Because you could call up and get a man if you want. I can't do that. I'm gonna hold you. Oh, you're not gonna hold me. Why not? No, I'm gonna get off the ship because my father isn't doing too well and I wanna get back home. If something happens to him, because I wanna be there. I can't help you, Chief. He says, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I said, well, as I wanted permission to see the commander of Western Sea Frontier. He said, I don't know what good it's going to do you. I says, I want to see the captain of Western Sea Frontier. Maybe I could get a relief from him. Okay, go ahead, go. He says, go ahead, go. So, there was another chief that was very close with me, Carl Zink. He came from Brooklyn also. He was chief machinist mate. He was a water, he used to take care of the evaporators. I says, Zink, I says, I'm going to see this guy. He says, they wouldn't let him go either. I says, I'm going to go to the Western Sea Frontiers. You want to go with me? Yeah, sure, Jim. She says, come on, let's go. He says, I gotta get back home. He says, my mother isn't doing too well. Okay, let's go. So we went there to Western Sea Frontier, and there's a first-class yeoman there. Yes, Chiefs, what can I do for you? I said, I'd like to see the commander of Western Sea Frontier, please. What is this about? Well, I'd like to get off the Charles Carroll, but they won't release us. He says, let me have your name, serial number, and you too, Chief. Took it all down. He says, have a seat here a moment. I said, okay. Big door, beautiful mansion it was. Big door, round, it's about 18 foot high. He opens the door, walks in. All of a sudden I hear, get those two guys in here. Geez, I recognize the voice. I says, Carl, you recognize that voice? He says, no. I said, but I do. He said, who is it? I said, I'm willing to make you a bet right here and now. That's Captain Biesmeyer. kidding me. Door swings all the way open. And here he's coming out from behind this big desk. Sparky! Here you are! Hey, Zank! How you doing? He remembered us. Come on in, have a drink with me, have a drink with me. What can I do for you boys? I said, Captain, I said, we want to get off the Carroll. It's not that we don't like it. I said, but my father wasn't doing too well. I told him the whole story. He says, he's got trouble with his mother. He said, what do you mean they won't let you off? He says, I'm the gyroman. They can't get a replacement. Yeoman, get in here. Yeoman comes in. He says, I want you to write 2 letters. I'll dictate it to you. He says, put different names. He says, on one you put Chief Calascione, and the other one you put Chief Zink. He dictated the letter to them. And it was a letter to the commanding officer of the Charles Carroll. Each one of us had one. He said, I want you to go aboard the ship as soon as possible and give this. The ship was going to leave the following morning at 9 o'clock, something like that. He says, I want you to deliver it to the captain. He says, if the captain is not aboard, then to the lieutenant commander in charge. Okay, I'll take care of that, Captain. I know. He says, but there's something else involved. I said, what is it? He said, tomorrow morning at 7:30, I'll be on the dock. He said, I'll come there with my limo. He said, I'll have a pickup truck following me. He said, you 2 guys better be at the foot of that gangway when I get there. Because if you're not there, I'm going aboard and I'm going to raise hell on the Charles Carroll. I never did that before, but I'll do it now. You guys are getting off that ship. You have done enough. I don't want to hear any more about it. I said, Captain, I says, it's kind of rough. Don't worry, Sparky. He says, I'll be there. He says, it'll be all right. I'll be there. Next morning, 25 after 7, he pulls up. I had my trunk. Carl had his trunk and sea bag right up on top there. Up comes a big Buick Limited, the limo, 7-passenger car. He said, I'm glad you boys are down here. He said, because I was going to go up there on a rampage. He said, I was going to tear that ship apart. I put it together. He said, I was going to tear it apart. He said, I'm glad you guys are here. He said, now, come on, we go to the receiving station. He dropped us off at the receiving station. He kissed me. He said, good luck to you, Jim. Did the same thing with Carl. Embraced him, kissed him. God bless you both. You guys were through hell on earth. Now you know what hell is like. He says, have a happy life. You too, Captain. And he saluted him. That's the last I saw him. Then I found out he had passed away.
Well, did you have a happy life? I said, when you got out, did you have a happy life?
I got out November 11th of 1945. And for 1 year I had been writing to my wife, making plans, and I knew what I wanted. I wanted to go home
got a nice little job in the electrical field, and get married, settle down. I didn't want no more protection work, no more anything like that, because I had learned how to kill with my bare hands. Somebody would come to me and try to throw a fist at me. He was gone. I'd grab him by the throat, by the nuts, and I'd pull him apart. That's the way I was taught. I didn't want to go into protection. My father asked me, he said, "Why don't you just try for the police force?" He says, "You know, they're taking on cops like mad." I said, "Pop, I don't want no part of protection anymore." I said, "I'm an electrician by trade," I said, "I'm going to stay with it." So, he says, "Son," he says, "you do what you want." He says, "It's your life." I said, "Okay, it's my life." I said, "I want to get married, raise a family, work like a human being, not like an animal, having to go out and hit people. I don't want that no more. I'm through with that, no more." So we made plans, and we got married. We got married in 1947, and I couldn't get a job in the electrical business. Local 3 said, no, if your father was in, okay. I said, "So what?" I says, "My father was a barber. What has that got to do with me?" I said, "I'm an electrician by trade. If I was a barber and I say, I'll come to you for a barber's job, it'd be a different story, but I'm an electrician by trade. I was chief electrician in the Navy. I said, I could take motors and generators apart. My electrical equipment never suffered while I was on board. I was a gyro technician on board. It's a very fine instrument. It's even finer than a watch, than a wristwatch." Sorry. Finally, one day, one guy went down to local 3. One guy got me in a hole. He says, "You know, I see you here coming out every day." He says, "Maybe I could do something for you." He said, What do you want?" I said, I want a card so I could get work in the electrical trade. "Well," he says, "you know," he says, "I could work something out." He says, "Well, it'll cost you $1,000. I says, $1,000 for what? He says, "You know, for a temporary card." I says, "What good is that going to do me?" "Well," he says, "you go in on a job," he says, "but then," he says, "if a union man comes and bumps you," he says, "you tear the card up." He says, "That's the end of it." I said, "I got to give you $1,000 for that? I'm not going to be on a job for 2 hours and some guy will bump me and I'm out $1,000. I said, what do you think? I was in the Navy to make money? I didn't make no money in the Navy." I says, "I want to work like a human being in my trade. The only deal I could give you, that's it." I says, "Forget it, shove it." I walked out. So I went to work. I went to work doing a little bit of everything. Peddling, I bought a truck, peddled for a while. I knew fruit and vegetables, I was pretty good at it. Ann and I were traipsing around, and I got a couple of offers. Go with this guy, go with that guy. No, I don't want to go nowhere. I just take what I got. I started to work in the machine business. I could take a machine apart and put it together and nothing flat. And guys went out of business. And the last 13 years, I set up a plant with 12 injecting molding machines. Machines were built up in Canada. And we were making bottle caps for the milk gallons out of plastic. The first ones to come out with a tear band on it.
ratchet, they come off. I set the plate up with the 13 machines, no, 12 machines. The 13th machine was over in another department. And we were turning out 21 million caps a week out of polyethylene. We were shipping caps all over, to California, Nevada, Florida, Delaware. We had 65% of the dairies in the country. And finally, the company was taken over by a young guy, wise guy. I'm the boss here. He bought the company, bought it. He ruined it. He ran it into bankruptcy. They stripped it dry. I don't give it. I'm the boss. I give the orders here. I give the. Customs didn't even want to know him. If they had any complaints about the caps, they used to call me. Yes, what's up? Jim, what's going on down there? These caps don't fit. They're shrunk. They don't fit on the gallons. Oh, naturally, they were speeding up the machines. They weren't giving the plastic enough time to cool in the mold before it would open up. I started out with a mold with 8 caps, but it was slow. Maybe around every 12, 15 seconds it would open up and 8 caps would fall out. It's no good. Because we got to put more caps on it. These machines that take bigger molds. So what's the largest mold we could put on this machine? Well, we could put a 16, and now 16 won't be enough. We gotta go more. We gotta go to 32, at least 32. 32. How are we gonna get it? We gotta go to 32. Sure enough, people up in Canada told us, yes, you could put a 32 cavity mold in, but it said they gotta be spotted in just right. I had heard about it up in Canada when they sent me up there to learn about the machines. I said, good. We'll have a 32 cavity mold made. So every 7 seconds, there was a double-faced mold, 2 sides of the mold with the cores in the middle, come in, boom. Every 7 seconds, 32 caps would fall out onto a conveyor. An elevator going up to the Centron, into a Centron machine that would orientate them to come out with the cap up, through the labeling machine, and used to label 250 caps a minute. And we were starting to really, really hit them, and hit them good. Good. And this guy came in, he bought the company. I'm the boss here. I don't want that machine to go this color. You gotta cheat. Wait, whoa. White color is bad. Don't fool around with the white. All the other colors, go ahead. But don't, if you got a white machine, leave it white. Because you'll never get the other colors out. No matter, I don't care how many times you take the mold apart, you'll never take it out. You'll always streak. If you had purple in there, you'll streak purple. If you had red in there, it'll streak red. There's always a certain amount of it left in there, even if it's just a platen on the mold. It'll take it off. Sure enough, that's what happened. The company were getting caps with streaks in them. They'd call me, Jim, what's going on? They're speeding up the machines too much. Plastic doesn't cool off, it comes out of there hot.
So what have you been doing since you left that firm?
When I left that firm, I retired. And this was in 1981. I retired, and I was home for 3 weeks, and I was piddling around the house, doing this, doing that, but I couldn't take it.
Finally, my wife says, Jay, there's an ad in the paper here. A man that's mechanically inclined. He's right nearby here, up on, what's the name of the street?
Brook Avenue.
Yeah, Brook Avenue, up on Brook Avenue. 50 Brook Avenue. That's where it was. I looked at her and said, yeah, let me call this guy up. I call him up. Hello? I was answering the ad in the paper. Oh, yes, yes. Hold on a moment. This was a girl. Hello? Yes. I said, I'm applying the ad. You electrician? Yes, I'm an electrician. Mechanic? Yes. Where you live? I live here in Deer Park. You come. I talk to you. I says, all right. I says, you're at 50 Brook Avenue. Right. You come. You come now? Yeah, I could be up there in about 10, 12 minutes. I says, right nearby my home. Okay, I'll wait for you. So I went there, and I see this little guy, still maybe about 5'4", little mustache, a little dark, his skin is a little dark. I says, I'm here to answer the ad. He looks at me. You electrician? I said, he says, I show you. He says, I got a couple of machines here, you can hook up. He says, you see? I said, this could be done. He says, okay. He says, you go to work. You want to work now? I say, wait a minute, what are you paying me? Oh, he says, yeah, sure. That's $6 an hour. Nah, he says, I retired a couple of weeks ago. I says, I was making a hell of a lot more than that. I says, $6 an hour. I wouldn't even try to get out of bed early in the morning for that kind of money. I said, nah. Hey, you take 8. And I said, at least I'll work 4. He says, only part-time, believe me, part-time. $10 an hour. Ooh, that's too much. Sorry. So long. Wait a minute. No go. Okay, I'll give you 10. But he says, you see this? He says, this, I need a machine. He had all wheels of alternators and starters that were bent, stripped off, all broken up. He says, you gotta make me a machine to make these good again. So I had been in metallurgy. I was supervisor in a metallurgical laboratory for about 6 years. So he says, you do? I said, yeah, I do it. If you give me the parts, I get you a part. You tell me what you want, I get you. It's okay, because I lay it all out. So I worked on it for a couple of weeks. Finally came up with a list of stuff that I needed. Gave it a, what's this? What's this? I said, look, stuff that I need. You want me to make this machine for you? Yeah. Okay. I make a machine. Give me the parts. Okay. I go to supply house. It goes, it brings me what I wanted. It's a couple of things I didn't have that the guy is going to send in for me. So I have to work. You know, he says, I gotta have somebody to take care of this hand machine. I got a friend of mine to come in with me, got him the job. He was getting $8 an hour. So I built the machine for him. It worked beautiful. When you rework metal, you harden it.
Mm-hmm.
So the new ones are very flexible, but once they're put into the machine, hydraulic pressure holding it, and you know that you're forging it, and you toughen it. Then he started to ship these out, and he's hearing, hey, Ellie, send me more. Ellie, send me more. So he goes around, and he starts picking up drums of wheels from all over the eastern seaboard, and every junk shop from Maine down to Florida. They were coming in trail boats. And he's got me there building machines for him. So I got to the point where he got a little obnoxious. And he started being a little, I used to run up the place for him in the morning. He didn't come in until about 10, 11 o'clock when he was in town. He was starting to get a little too pussy. So one morning I said, look, Ellie, I said, I've had enough of this. I'm going to quit. Oh, you can't quit? What do you mean I can't quit? No, I need you. Hey, my family needs me more than you. I said, no. I straightened out the lighting for all the lights from over the machines, everything. He says to me, Jimmy, please, you stay. I got the keys put in his hand. Take it. Goodbye, Ellie. Up to about 3 months ago, he was by in front of my house, and he didn't know where I lived. He didn't know the house, but he passed by and he saw me in my driveway, and he stopped. Jimmy! Hey, hello, Ellie. How are you? How you doing? Yeah, I'm doing very, very good. And he's a big white Cadillac he's got. I had heard that he was doing very, very good. He's a multimillionaire today. Did you come to work for me again? I said, no. Absolutely not, Elliot. I'm not going to work for nobody. I said, I'm retired. I said, all the years I've been retired, you want me to go back to work? No, I'm not going to go back to work because here's my wife. So that's your wife? She says, oh, that's Ellie. Ellie, how are you? How you doing? You telling me he come back to work? Oh, wait, he's not coming back to work for you no more. So, he got to take me.
Well, we're coming down to the last minutes on the tape.
Yes.
I wanted to ask a couple of questions.
Yes.
First, did you have kids?
Yes, sure. I have my son. My son is involved with very, very, very intricate program. You probably would know about it, right? The AWACS program.
Sure.
My son is one of the designers of it. He works for Industries.
Mm-hmm.
He's the vice president of product management.
Mm.
He's been with that company now for 30 years. My daughter has a doctorate in pastoral science. And she teaches. She works in the diocese of Portland, Maine.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we were just together in Baltimore this past 2 weekends ago. Her daughter is a biomedical engineer. She's working in Baltimore, Columbia, Maryland.
She's getting married. April 21st, we'll be going back down to Baltimore, my wife and I, with my son and the family.
Just the two kids?
The two kids I got, that's right.
Let's go back to Okinawa for a moment.
Yes.
Were you there when the typhoon?
When the typhoon hit? No. No, we were on our way back.
Do you remember the navigating officer on the Charles Carroll? Lieutenant J.G. navigator type? Do you ever keep up with any of your old shipmates from the Carroll?
Yes. It was Goldman.
I think we interviewed him.
You interviewed him. That's
Yeah.
where the Charles Carroll came in.
We interviewed him about 2 weeks ago.
That's where
Lives in
Mr. Goldman.
Yeah.
He lives out here in Long Island somewhere. Oh, no,
Well, he lives upstate, I think.
upstate. Yes, it's upstate. Yes, it's upstate. I got, in fact, he wasn't with us in Mobile. He was with us in Philadelphia. You remember that?
Yes.
He was with us in Philadelphia with his wife. And for the reunion we had in Mobile, no, he
Jim.
wasn't there.
Don't mean to break in, but I'm down to the last 2 minutes on the tape.
Yes, what
Oh, just looking back now, anything that you wanted to add? Kind of sum it all up?
what can I add? I thank the good Lord that I'm still here, still living,
Mm-hmm.
enjoying my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren. I got 2 little ones. I got big ones with my daughter married. My son married in 1995. We got 2 little boys, one 4 and one 2. But they're 2 little joys, but they live right near us, within 3 miles of my home. And we see them a little more often. The other children, we don't see at all. And
So you're glad to still be here?
yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here too. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much, sir.